this session. Perfect. Yeah.
Uh, cool. Hey Ishaan, hello everyone. Thank you for having me and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. Cool. So Himani, can you sort of just start this off by telling us your journey of finding Multipie? How did that happen? How did you find the generalist role at Multipie? What was the discovery experience?
Yeah, sure. It was through Twitter. I came across a tweet of Abhishek, who is the VP of Community at Multipie,
Okay.
and the role sort of interested me. And I texted him. We got over a call. He sort of explain me what they're trying to build, and that sort of made me happy because there is a platform being built out for there, which I myself see as a potential user of the product. And then we had a couple of conversation, and then yeah, I was in.
Nice. So when like you saw the tweet, was it specifically for a generalist role, or was it like they were hiring and then you sort of crafted this role for yourself?
Right. So yes, it was definitely not mentioned that it would be a generalist kind of role. That I sort of discovered after after a few weeks or few days into the role. And I guess this is the case with most of the generalist roles out there, that you can come to know that this is going to be a generalist kind of role after reading the points which are mentioned in the JD, say, or say when you have the conversation with the person or your manager. You get to know that you are going to work across um, different verticals, or say a bunch of things. And then yeah, so it's majorly that.
Right. I think a lot of times, unless it's specifically mentioned, it can feel like a secret mission has been unlocked at the team. That, oh, okay, I didn't know this was going to be a generalist role. But right. So now at Multiply, like what does your job entail? What do you have to do right now?
So I work closely with the community team at Multipie, where I keep dabbling between content, design, community, and a bunch of other things. And because we are approaching marketing majorly through content at this stage, in fact, we launched our product just this past November. It's been 5 months since I've joined Multipie. The initial 1 to 2 months were driven by serendipity, say, wherein it was more about getting the tasks done. And post that, tasks sort of get a little more structured. Your day also gets little more structured. I mean, this is something which I am assuming happens with everyone. The first few weeks are about testing the waters, trying to understand your strengths. What are those few things which you can execute better than others?
Right.
And there are a couple of initiatives which you think, um, which you pick up as time passes, after you have understood enough about how the space works.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I think this was a experience that me and Sachin also can relate to. Like first month also, I think we were just exploring ki what all is happening. You have to digest everything that's going on. And so far, what's been the favorite part about your job for you?
The favorite part about my job, I feel, it is the uncertainty it sort of brings, right? The tasks are more dynamic. You don't know what you're going to work, let's say, the next day or the next week. It's all unplanned, and that's also the beauty of it. And it also depends on the person. I'm a person who literally doesn't like to do repetitive tasks. I get bored very easily. And coming to my case, I was lucky to be a part of a great team, which made it relatively easy for me. So I had that freedom to sort of uh, give given suggestions, and then try to execute upon them.
Yeah. I think this is a common theme of folk, like generalists usually getting bored, but having like a good team is, I think, that's what makes or breaks a generalist role.
Absolutely.
And So, was your experience of finding a place for yourself, like, I mean, 5 months down the line, you joined as a generalist, now you might have sort of figured out something in more niche than what you had started off with. I'm
Mhm.
like, I guess, I'm not sure, but what's been your experience of finding a space for yourself in the team?
Yeah, initially in the first month, I would say I was more into research. As I just pointed out earlier, it was more about getting the tasks done. And you come to a stage where even the other team members get to realize that, okay, fine, Himani can do this stuff, and then you get tasks accordingly. So
Right.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And so, like, at this point, what does your day sort of look like?
You mean they as a generalist?
Yeah, like your working day as a generalist.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of things on the plate, when I start off my day, uh, and I start picking them um, in accordance with the priority. And sometimes tasks come into the picture in a dynamic state, and the existing tasks take a backseat, and it's all about what's the need of the hour and executing on that.
Hmm. Right. And you mentioned, right, that it's been pretty uncertain. I mean, every other week you might have something different to do. So right now, like, do you see yourself specializing in something few years down the line, or is for you at this moment it's generalist all the way?
Right. So to be honest, at this point of time, I'm yet to figure that out. But one thing which sort of worked in my favor is I have done a couple of internships across roles. So I have worked as a software development intern for around 10 months, which sort of made me understand what are those a few parts about the role which I enjoy, and few parts which I want to let's say stay away from, right? And then I moved into a product community slash growth um, at front row, wherein I got to work on a bunch of things. So there also I got to work on multiple things, which made me realize that there are few tasks which I would be wanting to let's say avoid, and few uh, tasks which make my day. So that was another bit of the whole process.
Right, right. Yeah. And considering usually our jobs are a big part of our conversation with people, right? So for a new person or your friends, how do you sort of tell them what you do? Because this is usually asked that or batao, like how's your job going? What do you do? Every relative will be like, Acha, where are you working? What kind of work do you do?
Yeah. So this is a tricky part, because if you're able to explain it, I feel that you are actually not a generalist. And especially if there are friends who, let's say, do not understand the startup space and are working in MNCs. And one thing which definitely happens is you get confused on how you can explain this concept to them. Where do I even start from?
Right.
So this is a recent incident. Our convocation happened. It sort of took place last month, and I said to my friend the same stuff, that I work as a journalist at an early stage startup. So basically, I'm involved in a bunch of things, say content design community, and detailed it out. And then he asked, "Okay, but what do you exactly do?" And and this is me to my inner self. That wasn't that all I was trying to explain all this while.
Right. Yeah, I think like till this date, like biggest challenge has been explaining my family that I'm doing something. It's legit. It's not imaginary. There are
Yep,
two other people I work with,
yep,
and
yep, yep. And coming to parents and family, the tricky part first becomes explaining how startups work, and on top of that, you have to explain what you do, right? What you as a generalist do.
right, right, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
very true.
Yeah, so this is a funny story I just wanted to mention, but on a
Yeah,
serious note, I'm happy to see more people are gaining interest in this field. There are roles, especially in early stage startups, who are willing to take generalists in their teams. Also, there are platforms like I'm happy that Roc8 is trying to create awareness about such a thing, and this clearly shows that this role is going to grow as, and it is growing as we speak. It's just about being at the right place.
right. And on the same note, right? So this is like the next two questions are pretty much on the lines of how to go about finding a generalist role. And who would you recommend? Like what people would you recommend taking up a generalist role?
Hmm. um, so a few pointers, I guess, which one can sort of take, and this can act as a segue for them. So first, try to understand the industries you are interested in, whether it is edtech, fintech, health tech, B2C, or let's say whether it is B2B or B2C, right? The first step is to get that sorted, and then try to research what are those startups or places or communities that are solving for different problem statements in that space. Make a list, right? And then start cold DMing. Cold DMing is still an underrated thing, but it works like magic if done right. Start cold emailing to founders or the founding team, or let's say the decision makers, and customize those emails, right? Cold DMing isn't enough. You have to customize the email such that the likelihood of you getting a response increases. And in my case, I have written a bunch of cold emails myself. And when I hit that send button, I do have a strong feeling. And I guess I already know the answer whether I would be receiving the response for this email which I've crafted or not. So, yeah, that's something which I would like to mention. And At early and growth stage startups, the founders and senior folks are just looking for people who can get the shit done, who can figure out things, who, let's say, don't say no, um, who doesn't give no as an answer. So yeah, it's majorly that. Because you know let's say you get a task, and if someone asks, do you know how to figure this out, you can either say no, I haven't worked on this anytime before, or you can say no, I do not have much of an idea, but I'll make sure to figure this out and get back with whatever information I have. So having that attitude definitely matters.
Yeah, that's very true. And like that is also a subtle plug for Sachin's article on cold DMing. So like he had pushed out a piece on how to cold DM. It's a pretty exhaustive. I think if I was to ever consider cold DMing again, I would use that as a reference.
Awesome, I'll definitely check that out, Sachin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. Swapnil has put in the chat as well. But yeah, I think this was pretty much it for the at least structured question that I had for you. And I mean, like I expected, the journey is certainly very interesting and exciting that you've gone on. I think the most exciting part about a generalist journey is sort of where they end up like 4 or 5 years down the line, because so far it's been so haphazard that when it actually merges into something, uh, it's usually very beautiful.
Yep, rightly said.
Right. So we've been done with the questions. I think anyone from the audience who has any questions for Himani can raise their hand and I'll unmute you. Uh, Till then, I think Himani, if there is anything I can answer, let me know if you have any questions.
Uh, yeah, sure. So I would like to ask you a question, because you yourself are a generalist, right? What are those few things which you really don't like about your job? I know Swapnil, Sachin are here, but still, I hope they don't
No,
mind.
I think Sachin and Swapnil both know my answer, but it's mostly operations. So I mean that's the kind of North Star that we operate with also, that we try reducing as many operations as possible, because the more operation heavy we are, the tougher it's sort like the heavier we get in general to move, right? So we try making our all our processes as lean as possible. So I mean, in a way, like currently, at least my work is fueled by my dislike for operations. So like I sort of optimize for reducing as much ops as possible.
Understood. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I call myself lazy at night, but it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And also one thing which comes with the bit of operations is when you do it for the first time, it's good. You get to learn
Yeah,
about new things. When you do the second time, okay, fine, you get some more insights. But you know, after the fifth or sixth time, it really becomes very redundant.
yeah, exactly. And then after that point, it's like, okay, now you're just going through the motions, and
Right,
you just
right.
want to get rid of it as soon as possible. But I think, I mean, well, yeah, the fact that, I mean, I've realized somewhere down the line that it's, I mean, without the operations, like it won't move. I mean, it's like the work that actually moves things ahead, because that's like your daily like running business, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I'm not sure if the audience has any questions so far. Doesn't seem like they do.
Mhm.
Uh,
Right.
we'll probably give them 2, 3 more minutes. If Swapnil has any other question. Okay, Sagar is asking how to build proof of work for a generalist role. Himani,
Right.
do you want to?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So coming to the point of building proof of work, what I feel which has worked in my case is I sort of document the things I do, um, you know, in whichever stints I have been a part of. I document it, I push them in a doc so that when time comes, what generally happens is you aren't able to, let's say, recollect of what you have done, but actually there are so many little things which if you speak of with the interviewer, they will genuinely be happy to hear that, because many a times those are the little things which are actually required for the role. So documenting and making sure that it's properly at a place, and you can go back at any point of time to that notion doc, or that Google doc, and just having a glance, when the time comes, it definitely helps. And also side projects, I guess this is no hidden fact that building side projects definitely help, and it may not be huge side projects, just little things which you feel other people might take advantage of. So the other day, I came across a side project of a person which I really liked. So it was very simple. He just made he just used a no code tool and documented all the different kind of templates which one can use for emailing.
Okay.
And I went through that. It was really good because we spend a lot of time in writing emails, and many a times those are redundant. You use the same kind of words because the replies and responses are such. But after seeing that doc, now I have just bookmarked it, and I'm sure that that is going to save a lot of my time. So yeah, just making such little projects definitely help.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's very on point, because it sort of ties into what so I mean, we've also been doing some user research, and we will shortly be also sharing a piece like the next I mean, we have an article that's lined up which talks about how you can sort of be a better generalist, like how to find generalist jobs. And what we've seen is that usually companies look for initiative, right? I mean, a founder just wants someone who can take an initiative.
Right.
And if you can sort of prove, like if you can use your initiative to build proof of work by sort of, I mean, basically, I mean, you notice that, okay, there's a problem that you personally face or you've seen other people face, and you just build something out for that. So that sort of adds on very well for your proof of work. which is exactly what
Right.
I think Himani found
Right.
useful.
Yeah.
Just
I guess Ankita
yeah,
has a
yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah. Yeah, Ankita, I've asked you to unmute yourself. You can.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Ankita, and I also work as a generalist for an early stage startup called Visor. So, my question to Himani is, as she has said, a generalist role encompasses like almost everything, right? So, right now, I think most of us in our early careers, so this sort of exploration is fine, but let's say 5 or 10 years down the line, where do you see yourself as a generalist, or do you have any plans for that, or just something you would like to share?
Just a second. Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, thank you. Ankita, fair question. And I feel that generalist as a role it isn't something, and this is very contextual, but in most of the cases it is not a role which you can be for, let's say, for 10 years or 5 years, right? It's just a stepping stone. So in my case, it was really wanted to work with the team, and I wasn't able to sort of clearly define which role I would be suitable for, right? Because I didn't know what are the different operations taking place in the startup. And we got on a call, as I mentioned, and the person with whom I had a conversation liked me. I liked their idea and their mission statement, and I just wanted to work with that person, and that's why I chose the role of a generalist. And for me, it was more with the fact that I wasn't sure which are those verticals which I'm really passionate about, the verticals which I enjoy working in, at the same time, which I'm decent at, right? It should be an intersection of both. And for the same reason, I sort of wanted to become a part of the team and got into the generalist role. And in the first 2 months, I'd say it was a generalist kind of role, but now there is a structure. I work more in the content and design bit of things. I contribute more in that aspect. My 80% of the time goes there. And coming to you know as years pass on, I'm sure it's definitely not going to be a generalist, it's going to be a concrete role. And being a generalist definitely helps, because let's say tomorrow you want to start off something on your own, and at that time you would want to know a bit of every vertical, or let's say have a knowledge of how different verticals work. You need not be a specialist in that, but let's say just being at a place where you know how to get this thing done, or having a network to definitely helps in this aspect. Because if you know, even if you don't know how to get a particular task done, but you know who would be the right person to get this thing done, that too definitely helps. So yeah. And also discount all the gyan which you found, which you hear people saying about, be a specialist or be a generalist. That debate will always go on, because everyone speaks from their context, right, and from the experiences which they have had, and your goals and interests might be completely different from theirs. And especially if you are in your 20s, um, spend time in exploring and not settling. And this is not an original statement, um, because you don't want to have any regrets later, because I see so many of my friends who are doing stuff which they literally are not interested, they are just doing for the sake of it. And along the journey you will figure out what you are really interested in.
Yeah. I think that's last point that you mentioned is exactly why I decided to explore the generalist role, because I mean mostly everyone around their 40s is like facing midlife crisis. I'm like, okay, let's just try it out in the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ankita, I hope that answered your question. Is there anyone else? Otherwise, we can wrap this session up. There will be a memo on this memo as well as a recording on this session, so no need to worry. We'll have notes. And okay, I don't see any other questions coming up, but cool. So Himani, this was really fun, and I think, I mean, we also need to book our own one-on-one because this is the first time we're talking.
Yes, definitely. Let's do that. I had fun having this conversation.
Same here. Swapnil, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean,
Cohort,
thanks for
cohort
doing this.
fellows. Cohort fellows.
I feel in general, and this is like just me thinking on the spot, and I just posted it in our team Discord as well, which is, are generalists in general clearer thinkers? That is something I'm finding a correlation. So yeah, I think you have like, I heard a lot of good articulation today, so that was pretty cool. And I worked with Himani in a
Project,
yeah,
assignment.
yeah. So that was pretty fun. So yeah, thanks for doing this.
Glad to be here, Swapnil.
Yeah, this was fun. Cool. Okay, then good night, guys, and time for some music.